Hello, and welcome to On This Day in History. Thanks for joining us for the very first episode. Today is April 7th, and I have a few things to talk about. The first thing I want to cover is that April 7th, if you didn't already know, is National Beer Day in the United States. So if you like me and you love celebrating the wonderful beverage that is beer, grab yourself a beer and enjoy the episode. On This Day in History, April 7th, 1862, the American Civil War Union forces defeated Confederate troops at the Battle of Shiloh, the bloodiest battle in U.S. history at the time. It happened in Hardin County, Tennessee. If you're wondering whereabouts Hardin County is located, it's in between Nashville and Memphis in the state of Tennessee. On this day, in 1896, an Arctic expedition led by Norwegian explorer Fridtjof Nansen reached almost 3 degrees beyond the previous farthest north latitude, which is the most northerly latitude reached by explorers, before the first successful expedition to the North Pole left the expression without meaning. On this day in 1949, the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, South Pacific, based on the Tales of the South Pacific by James Michener, opened on Broadway in New York City. This really famous show is based on a book about the lives of officers, nurses, a French expatriate and natives on the islands of the South Pacific during World War II. If you'd like to read more about this, visit Wikipedia or grab yourself a copy of the book. It was originally published in January 1947. On this day in 1972, Communist forces overran the South Vietnamese town of Loc Ninh. The Communist forces, also known as the Viet Cong, officially known as the National Libertarian Front of South Vietnam, fought under the direction of Northern Vietnam against the South Vietnamese and United States governments during the Vietnam War. And last but not least on today's episode, on April 7th, 1995, during the First Chechen War, paramilitary troops began massacring hundreds of civilians in Samashki, Chechnya. Samashki is a rural locality and is the administrative centre and only settlement of the Samashkinskoye rural settlement. Its population in 2021 is estimated at 12,769 people, and it is around 19 miles west of the city of Grozny. According to the accounts of 128 eyewitnesses, federal soldiers deliberately and arbitrarily attacked civilians and civilian dwellings in Samashki by shooting residents and burning houses with flamethrowers. According to many of the witnesses, the Russian National Guard troops were drunk or under the influence of drugs. They needlessly opened fire, threw grenades into basements where residents, mostly women and elderly people, as well as children, had been hiding. According to the Human Rights Watch, this was the most notorious civilian massacre of the First Chechen War. The First Chechen War, also known as the First Chechen Campaign, was a rebellion by the Chechen Republic of Ikaria against the Russian Federation. It was fought from December 1994 to August 1996. There was an estimated 80,000 civilians killed in this tragic conflict. Thank you for joining us and listening to the first episode of On This Day in History. See you again tomorrow.